Say object repository. Object repository. Say repository. It is general term, global term. You can find repository term in manual testing also. Repository means a common storage place. Object repository is a storage place for storing object information. Put mute, Arti. See, repository means a common storage place. In manual testing also you can find this term. Object repository in UFT. It is a storage place for storing objects information. What objects? See, in UFT we work with 4 types of objects: runtime objects, test objects, utility objects, and automation objects. See, in this object repository, test objects can be stored. See, it is a storage place for storing test objects information. See, we have 2 types of object repository in UFT. See, you take Selenium tool. In Selenium, no object repository concept. So, no centralized maintenance of objects in Selenium. But one of the advantage of UFT over Selenium, UFT has centralized maintenance of objects. See, UFT has 2 types of object repository. Two types of object repository. Any idea, Sujata? 2 types of object repository in UFT?
Yes, sir. Local object repository and shared object repository.
Okay, good. See, first one, local object repository. Local object repository file is internal file. We no need to store and maintain internal files. UFT only maintains. Next, shared object repository. It is external file. We need to create and maintain shared object repository files. Extension is TSR, test shared repository. See, first local repository. What is local repository? Madhuri, have any idea? What is local repository?
Whenever the user performs any actions on the application, the test object information will be stored within that test, and that is only confirmed to that particular test.
See, local object repository or shared object repository, not test level, action level. Okay. Suppose in our test only one action, that time only one local repository. Suppose we have 4 actions in our test, 4 local repositories. Action level. Okay. See, UFT creates a local repository for every action during recording. See, if we don't use recording, UFT won't create any repositories. If we use recording, then UFT creates local repository for every action. See. Next, user. User means tester. Tester can edit local repositories. Edit local objects. Next, UFT maintains local repositories along with the test script. See, if you save the test, then local repository will be saved automatically with the test, that folder. Tell me, Kanti, what is local object repository? Very low voice.
It is an internal file. UFT creates a local repository for every action during recording. Tester can edit local objects.
Okay.
UFT maintain local repositories along with the test.
Okay, good. See, user also can create local repositories, but optional. Anyhow, UFT creates local repositories. See, user also can create local object or repositories. Next, local objects can be exported as shared objects. Okay, I will show. See, this is blank. This is new test. Launch object repository. Tell me, Sujata, how to launch object repository?
Resources menu and then go to object repositories.
Object repository. Otherwise, Control R. See. Here blank, only headings. Next, see. Record. Put mute. Activate the login. Enter agent name. Enter password. Click OK button. Stop recording. Launch object repository. See, objects information stored. Objects information stored. Next, suppose I want 2 actions in this test. Create one more action, design menu, create new action. Anyhow, this we will discuss in actions chapter. See, second action, record, open an order. Okay. Now launch object repository. See here 2 actions. Action 1 objects. Next action 2 objects. See, this is action level. See, just take new test. These objects can't be shared, dedicated to particular action. Okay. Next, shared object repository. Shared object repository. Just a minute. Can you tell me, Aarti, what is shared object repository in UFT? Okay. See, user.
It is an external file.
Ah.
Create shared repository by adding object one by one.
One by one. No.
Or by exporting local objects.
Or by okay, but one by one. What is one by one? Okay. See my explanation. User means tester. User creates shared object repositories. Shared object repositories one by one. One repository at a time. User creates shared object repositories either by adding objects or by exporting local objects. We have 2 possibilities for creating shared object repositories. First possibility, adding objects. Second possibility, by exporting local objects. Both are useful features. When to choose add objects feature and when to choose exporting local objects feature, that we will discuss. See, user creates shared object repositories either by adding objects or by exporting local objects. See, in two ways, shared object repositories can be created. First way, by add objects. Another way, by export local objects. local objects. Next, shared object repository file. Shared object repository file is external file. External file. User need to maintain shared repositories. Okay. Next, as usual, user can edit shared objects. User can edit shared objects. Say I will show how to create shared object repository. Suppose I want to create shared repository for this login dialog. See, go to resources menu, follow the navigation, Sujata.
Yes, sir.
Now, next step we have to explain that navigation. Object repository manager. Next, just a minute. Object, add objects. Otherwise, here add objects icon is there. Toolbar option is there. You can choose menu item or toolbar option. See object, add objects. Show the dialog box or window or web page. Click OK. Here it is showing 4 options. I will explain options later. First, general navigation. Select one option. Select required option. Click OK. See. Objects information stored. Next, save. It is external file. User need to save and maintain. Save. Suppose, for example, I want to save on desktop. Say in framework, put mute, avoid the disturbance. In framework, automation framework, we store shared object repositories in a folder. All team members can access that shared objects. Now I am just storing on desktop, but in real time, we store in common place. All team members can access. Say, example, login. Any meaningful name you can use. Okay. Close object repository manager. See, observe. On desktop, login.tsr file created. Tell me the navigation. See, just a minute. Navigation to create shared object repository. Tell me, Sujata.
Yes, sir. Select resources menu.
Yes. Resources menu.
Object repository manager.
Object repository. Object repository manager.
Then go to object menu.
Object menu.
Add objects.
Add objects.
Or you can use the plus in the toolbar option.
Yes. Add objects, or you can use toolbar option. The plus sign.
Yes, sir. And then show the dialog box. or window or web page.
Anything. See, show the dialog box or window or web page. Next.
Select option.
Okay.
And
Next.
then click OK. Save.
Select required option. Next.
Click OK.
Click OK.
Save option.
Next.
And then save.
Save. Next. Browse.
The file.
Browse path. Path to store. Next. Enter file name. Otherwise it shows default name repository 1. Enter file name and save. Next, last step, close Object Repository Manager. Object Repository Manager. Okay. See. See options. Here we have 4 options now. Observe. Resources, Object Repository Manager, Object, Add Object, show the window or dialog box or web page. Click OK. Here object filter is there. In this one, first option, selected object only. Selected object only. Selected object only. If you select selected object only, what will happen? It stores selected object only, no child objects. See, stores selected object only, no child objects. This is first option, option 1. Next, second option, default object types. Then it stores all default objects which are having functionality. See, default object types stores all default objects which are having functionality. Next, third one, all object types. All object types. If you select all object types, it stores all objects including static objects. Static object means which doesn't have any functionality. Example, messages and images, etc. Messages, images, etc. See, third one, all objects all object types. Stores all objects, including static objects. Which are not having functionality. I will show. Next, selected object types. If you select fourth option, again we need to select class of the object, then it will store that object types only. For example, I want to store buttons only, button class. You can select button. Suppose in my web page, different types of objects available, buttons, edit boxes, list boxes, links, etc. But I want to store only buttons and radio buttons. Yes, you can select more than one class also. Selected object types. Selected objects types. Here user has to select object classes, one or more, then it will store objects from those classes, not all. See, these are the options. See, based on your requirement, you can select. See, generally we use default object types, but based on your scenario, you can select. Observe. See, first option. Okay. See, it stored login dialog only. No child objects. Next, show the dialog. Second option. It stored 6 objects. Parent login. Next, cancel, help, OK, 3 buttons, 2 edit boxes. Next, object, add object, show the dialog, click OK, select all object types. See, it stored static objects only. See, static objects also. Observe this one, agent name. This is just a message type. See, view. Next, this one. Can you observe this blinking, Madhuri?
Sir?
Can you observe that blinking, object blinking? Which one is blinking?
The image.
Image. Okay. Next, just a minute. Observe Kanti. Say, this is one dialog box. This is child dialog box of login. Child of login. Here one message is there na. Please enter agent name. This is also object as per UFT. UFT point of view. This please enter agent name also object. But it doesn't have any functionality na.
Yes, sir.
OK button. OK button also object. OK button having functionality or not?
It has functionality.
Functionality. If you click OK, then this flight reservations dialog box disappear. It should disappear. See, observe, disappeared. Observe object, add objects, click OK. All object types. See, it stored this message also. Please enter agent name. View highlight in application. Okay. Next, file new. Object, add object, show the dialog. Next, default object types. This time, no message. Okay now? Just a minute. Observe Sujata, my requirement is store buttons and radio buttons from flight reservation window. Just a minute. See, store buttons and radio buttons from this flight reservation window. That is my requirement. Tell me the navigation.
You go to option 4, sir. Selected object types.
First, resources.
Resources, object repository manager.
Object, add object, show the window. Click OK. Select last option, fourth option. Again, select class of the object. Class of the object. I want button and radio button classes.
Yes, sir.
OK. Again, click OK. See, it stored only buttons and radio buttons, but it also stored flight reservation window. Parent mandatory. Parent and these two classes. Okay na Madhuri? This creating shared object repository.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, cool. See, I think all of you familiar with local repository and shared object repository. Put mute. After answering the question, put mute. Next, operations on object repository. Operations on object repository. See, here we will discuss important operations on object repository. Operations on object repository. See, first one, add objects. See, using add objects, we create shared object repositories, and you can add objects to local also. Adding objects to local optional. Usually UFT adds local objects during recording. If you want to add some more objects, you can add. See, user can add local and shared objects. Next, rename. Sometimes renaming objects is required. When it is required, we will discuss. Rename objects. We can rename local as well as shared. Next, delete objects. See, we can delete local objects as well as shared objects. Next, export local objects. Export local objects. Next, merge repositories. Merge repositories. See, we can merge. Merge means combine. We can combine shared object repositories, but 2 at a time. 2 to 1 only, not 3 to 1, 4 to 1. Suppose if we have 4 shared repositories and want to merge them as one repository. How to merge? First take 2 repositories, merge them as one. Next take second 2 repositories, merge. Again take last 2 repositories and merge. Like that you can merge multiple repositories as single repository. Say in UFT, some companies prefer large size repositories. Some companies prefer small size repositories. Both are having advantages as well as disadvantages. Advantage of having large size repositories. Maintenance difficult. Maintenance easy. Advantages of large size repositories. Maintenance easy. Disadvantage, test execution performance will be reduced. Suppose one small test is there. For that small test, we required only 5 objects. If you associate large size repository that having 50 to 60 objects, that time execution performance will be reduced. No other issues. Say, small size repositories advantage, execution performance will be increased, but maintenance difficult. Got this point, Sujata? Large size repositories and small size repositories.
Yes, sir.
And one more thing, no recommendations from vendor also. Based on your company strategy, you can use either large size repositories or small size repositories. Next, associate shared object repositories. Associate shared object repositories. See, we associate shared object repositories to actions. Why we need to associate shared repositories? Madhuri, any idea why user need to associate shared object repositories?
He has to associate with the action so that the UFT can recognize the objects.
Any clarity? Aarti, can you tell me why user need to associate shared repositories with the actions in a test? Okay.
I think when you want to create and execute the test manually, maybe
yes.
that time.
Yes. Say, if you want to create and execute tests manually, then associate shared repositories and create test and execute. If you want to record, you no need to associate anything. During recording, UFT creates local repositories, while execution it uses those local repositories. Okay. See, next, alternate feature also there. Instead of associate shared repositories, we can load shared repositories during execution. At runtime, you can load shared repositories during execution. Next, important operation, map objects in between object repository and AUT, application under test. Map objects in between object repository and application under test. How to map I will show. First, indexing. Next, just a minute. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Add, rename 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next, export test objects to XML. Say shared object repository file format is TSR, that is local file format. Only UFT application, only UFT tool can understand that format. If you export test objects to XML, XML is global format. It can be understood by any technology. Then without UFT tool also you can edit test objects. Say in our UFT some features are mandatory features, some features alternate features, some features bonus features. Suppose 100 features are there, example. In real time we use 20 to 25 features only. Remaining features, alternates, bonus features and rare use features. See, generally we use 20 to 30% features only. See, focus more on required features. See, this export test objects to XML is bonus feature. What is the advantage of this exporting test objects to XML? Using this XML format, we can edit test objects without using UFT tool. Next, combined feature, import test objects from XML. Next, last operation, define new test objects. Define new test objects. See, actually this define new test object feature is not recommendable. Okay, feature is there, I will explain, but in real time it is not recommendable. What is the purpose of this feature? Using this define new test objects feature, we can start test design process even though application is not ready. Nowadays, after getting stable applications also, so many companies struggling in this area of test automation. But without application, automation is difficult process. But this feature is useful for creating tests without application. Even though application is not ready, you can start a test design process. How? By getting objects information from developers, either theoretical information or prototype screens, etc. See, these are the important features. Okay, we'll discuss one by one. First, add objects. Add objects. Using add objects feature, we can create shared object repositories. Next, you can add objects to local repository also. Launch local repository. See, this operation is optional. See, in this local repository, we have 4 objects information. Why? We performed actions only on those 4 objects. Suppose future point of view, I want cancel button information also. Yes, you can add objects to local. Show the cancel button, click OK. See, no need to save. Here no save option also. Auto save. When it will be saved? Whenever you save the test script, then it will be saved along with the test. Tell me the navigation, add objects to local. Madhuri. Shared, add object to local repository.
Define objects?
No. What is define object? Observe. Launch object repository. Resources menu object repository. Next object, add objects to local. Show the dialog box or window or web page. Next, add. Click OK. See, just a minute. Now tell me. Resources.
Go to objects menu.
Resources menu. Next.
Object.
Just a minute. Object repository. Object repository. Next.
Add the object.
Object. Next. Add objects. Add objects to local. Add objects to local. Next.
Show the window. Show the window.
Show the object. Example. Show the object. Next.
Add.
Click OK.
Click on add button.
No need to save. No need to save. No need to save. Next, observe Sujata. Add objects to shared repository. Already we discussed that main navigation. Suppose shared object repository. Just a minute. Add objects to shared repository. So we discussed main navigation. Suppose shared object repository already created. Now I want to add some more objects. Earlier I didn't use all objects. Suppose this time I want to add all objects. Observe the navigation first. See, on desktop you can find shared object repository file. Resources. Object repository manager. First open the file. File. Open. Browse path of the shared object repository file. Here it is showing in It is showing objects in disabled state, limited protection, enable editing, file, enable editing, next object, add objects. Suppose I want to add this object also, static, okay, added. Save, close, shared, close object repository manager. Now tell me, Sujata, tell me the navigation. Add objects to shared repository. Already shared repository. By add objects, we can create shared repository. My scenario is shared object repository already there. I want to add some more objects, one or more.
Yes, sir. Resources menu.
Resources menu.
Then go to object repository manager.
Yes, object repository. Repository manager.
Go
Next.
to file.
Yes, file.
Go to open. Then browse path of the file.
Yes. Browse path of the file.
Then go to file menu.
Again, file menu.
Enable editing.
Yes. Enable editing.
Then object.
Object.
Add objects.
Good. Add objects. Show the object. See, dialog box also object. Okay, parent object. Show the object. Next. Okay.
Okay. And save and close.
Yes,
the
save
object
required. It
save
is
required.
shared repository. Save. Next.
Close the object. Yes.
Close object repository manager. Okay, na Kanti? Adding objects to local and shared object repositories. Kanti, any confusion?
No, sir. There is some disturbance coming in the system, so you are not able to hear my voice clearly.
Okay, cool. Next, rename objects. See, in this example, I will show how to rename objects. When renaming is required, that I will explain in map objects in between OR and AUT topic. First, concentrate on how to rename. Then we will discuss when it is required. Sometimes renaming is required. Observe. Okay, when it is required, forget about it. Now, how to rename? You can rename, user can rename local objects as well as shared objects. See, I want to rename local object. See, first rename local objects. Next, rename shared objects. Okay. See, first launch object repository. Next, I want to rename this OK button as monkey. Renamed. No need to save. Observe, in the script also renamed na, Aarti.
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me, if I execute the script, will it execute or not? No monkey button in login dialog. In the script, it is showing monkey button. Will it execute or not? Will it execute or show error?
I think it will execute.
How?
Maybe it already has an internal memory for OK, but is only outside is a monkey.
Internal memory concept is very different. Can you tell me, Madhuri, will it execute or show error?
It will show error, sir.
No, it will execute. It will execute. Observe, run the script, executing. How? See, user friendliness point of view, we changed that external name only, not internal property name. If you change internal property name, definitely it will show error. Observe object repository, here monkey, but in properties and values, observe Sujata, here what is the value?
Okay, sir.
Okay only na. Suppose
okay
if you change this internal value, definitely it won't execute. UFT is not able to recognize monkey button in the login dialog. See, no need to save. If you try to run this script, it will show error. See,
yes.
After 20 seconds, it will show error. See, generally we rename external names only, not internal names, internal property values. See, UFT default synchronization time 20 seconds. After 20 seconds, it will show error. See, cannot identify the object monkey. See, resources, object repository, select monkey button. Okay. Now it will execute. Say executing. Okay. Tell me the navigation, Madhuri. Rename local objects. See here one navigation is there now. Resource, common navigation. Resources menu, object repository, objects.
Resources menu, object repository. Object and add the object.
Not adding. Resources menu, object repository. This is common navigation. Resources
show
menu.
The window.
Just a minute. Resources menu, object repository. Next, select object. Select object and right click. Rename.
And rename.
Rename the object. Suppose ABC. Leave. Close object repository. See. Resources menu, object repository. Select the object and right click. Next, rename. Rename the value or modify the value or edit the value. Next, leave. Just close object repository.
So save is not required here.
Already I told local object repositories auto save.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay,
no save option also. Whenever you save the test, these settings will be saved automatically.
Okay, sir.
Okay, put mute. Object repository. Here, any save option is there? No save. Next, shared object repository. Suppose I want to rename one shared object in this login TSR. Resources, object repository manager, file, open, browse path of the file. Next, again go to file, file menu, enable editing. Next, select object. Suppose I want to rename this cancel button as clear button. Rename clear. Next, save, close shared, close object repository manager. Observe the navigation, common navigation. Resources menu, object repository manager, file, open, browse path of the file, file menu, enable editing. Next, continue, Sujata.
Yes, sir. Select object and right click.
Good. Common. Select here. Select object and right click. Just a minute. Rename the value.
And save.
Rename the value. Save.
Yes.
Next, at the end,
close the
object repository manager. Manager. Okay. I think all of you familiar with these two operations: add objects, rename objects. Next, delete objects. Delete objects also same. Suppose I want to delete a local object. Launch object repository. Now I want to delete this cancel button. Select the object and right click. Delete, confirm deletion, close. No need to save. No save option also. See, delete local object. If you want to delete multiple objects, repeat that navigation. Select one more object and delete. Select one more object, delete, like that. See, resources menu, object repository, select object and right click. Next, delete. Next, confirm the deletion. Next, close object repository. Next, delete shared objects. Delete shared objects. Observe, I want to delete an object in login TSR. Resources, object repository manager, file, open, browse path of the file, file, enable editing. Otherwise, Here enable editing option is there. Enable editing toolbar option. Next, I want to delete the static object. Select the object and right click, delete, confirm deletion, and save, close object repository manager. Tell me, Aarti, navigation, observe,
resource menu, object repository manager, file, open, browse path of the file menu, enable editing, select the object, right click and delete.
Common
and
navigation.
Then confirm the deletion and then close the object repository.
Select object and right click, then delete. Confirm the deletion.
Confirm the deletion and close the object
save
repository.
Required. Middle save. Confirm deletion. Next save. Close object repository manager. Next, export local objects. See, by exporting local objects, we can create shared object repositories. See, resources, object repository. Next, file menu, export local objects. Suppose ABCDTSR. Created. Close object repository. Created na. Now just tell me the navigation, Sujata, then I will explain purpose of exporting local objects.
Yes, sir. Resources menu.
Just a minute. Common navigation is there. Our resources menu.
Object repository. File.
Next, file menu.
Export local objects.
File menu. Next, export local objects. Next,
browse path to create.
Browse path to store or create. Next,
close.
Enter file name. And create. Create means okay. Next, close
object repository.
Yes, object repository. Okay, say we have two possibilities for creating shared object repository. One is by adding objects, another is exporting local objects. When to choose add objects, when to choose exporting local objects. Both are useful features. Based on your requirement, you can use them. Observe. For example, in our window or dialog box or web page, a small amount of objects available. You want to store maximum objects. That time choose add objects feature. Another scenario. Suppose in our web page, see, observe, in this login dialog, 6 objects available. You can use add objects feature. Suppose, just a minute. See, dealsdirect.com .au Australian web portal. Just a minute. Say, In this online shopping portal home page, you can find hundreds of objects. See, so many links, images, etc. Hundreds of objects. I don't want to add all objects. I don't want to add default objects. I don't want to add single object. See, in add objects feature, 4 options. Adding parent only. Next, adding all objects or adding default objects. Here default objects nearly 800. Next are selected object types only links or only images. No, my requirement is not like that. Say I want 5 to 10 objects from 5 to 10 objects from this page. Out of hundreds of objects, I want only 5 to 10. For that, you just record that. Suppose I want this register link, login link. See, I want to perform customer registration operation and customer login operation. I want only 7 to 10 objects information out of 100 objects, hundreds of objects. That time you just record this navigation and export to shared. Record the navigation, then export local objects. You can ask one question. Suppose if we record the navigation, local repository will be created, test script also ready, then why we need to export as shared objects? Got the point, Sujata? Can you tell me that one? What I am telling, suppose if you have hundreds of objects in your web page, want to store only a few objects, that time record that navigation and export to export local objects. My question is, once you record that one, script is ready, local object repository also ready, then why we need to export to local? Export local as shared. Why we need to export local objects?
No, sir.
Okay. In order to create tests manually. Already recorded script is there now. Yes, recorded script is there. But recorded script having so many disadvantages. What are the disadvantages that we will discuss later? See, in order to create tests manually, we export local objects. But for storing the objects only, we use recording feature in this scenario. For storing required objects only, we using recording feature in this scenario. In this scenario, recording is not for test design. Got the point? Any confusion?
No, sir.
See. Observe. If you create tests manually, so many advantages that I will discuss next chapter. Observe. My question is, observe Aarti. All of you put mute except Aarti. When to choose add objects feature. Next, when to choose export local objects feature. But no restrictions. If you have patience, you can add objects one by one using add objects feature also. Suppose you want 10 objects out of 700 objects, show one object, one object at a time. Then you can store. But facility is there. Just record the required navigation and export. Tell me, Aarti, when to choose add objects feature, when to choose export local objects feature.
For add object, when you have a small amount of objects, then choose add objects. Like, let's say less than 20 or something. So we have a smaller amount of objects, then you use the
see,
add.
If we have small amount of objects and want to store maximum objects. Suppose 30 objects are there, I want to store 25 objects. That time you can choose the add objects feature, maximum objects. Then choose that feature. Next, tell me, Sujata, when to choose export local objects feature?
When there are many, like hundreds of objects, then export to local objects is feature is to be.
If we have hundreds of objects, but want to store a few objects, then record the navigation, and export local objects. Okay, put mute. Say, I think all of you familiar with these 4 operations. Next, 5th one, merge repositories. Say, combining object repositories, only shared object repositories. Say, we have 2 repositories on desktop. I want to merge them as one. Observe the navigation, resources, object repository manager. Next, tools menu, object repository merge tool, browse path of the primary file, first file, browse path of the second file, secondary file. I'm telling first file, second file, but it is showing primary file, secondary file. Primary means it adds secondary file to primary file. If any duplicate objects are there, it will overwrite. It considers first file, means primary file names only. See the navigation once again. Kanti, tell me the navigation. Merge repositories.
Go to resources. Object repository manager. Then go to tools menu.
Tools
in this object repository merge tool.
Okay. Next, browse primary file, login TSR. Next, browse secondary file, ABCD TSR. Okay. See, it is showing statistics. 0 objects with the same name. No duplicate objects. 0 objects with the same name. 1 test object with identical description and different names. What is that one? OK button. OK button and ABC button both are same, but with different external names. That's why it will consider primary file name. Next, two unique objects added from primary file. Two unique objects added from primary file. Tell me, Sujata, what are the two unique objects from primary file?
Login, sir. The login is
login available in secondary file also, na?
Oh yes.
Clear button.
Okay. Clear button. Help button.
Help button. Okay, already available in secondary file, but external name ABC.
ABC. Okay, sir.
Okay. Next, three objects are identical in both files. Login, agent name, password. Okay. After watching this summary, close. Next, save. Suppose xyz.tsr. Close object repository merge tool. Close object repository manager. Observe. Say after merging these two repositories also source files as it is. It won't move. it won't move the repositories. It creates new copy. If you don't want source files, these are external files. You can delete them physically. You can delete them. Tell me the navigation. Sujata, tell me the navigation. Just a minute. Resource menu, object repository manager.
Tools.
Next.
Tools menu.
Tools menu.
Object repository merge tool.
Yes. Object repository merge tool.
Browse path of the primary file.
Yes, just a minute. Browse path of the primary file.
And then browse path of the secondary file.
Next. Browse path of the secondary file.
Yes. Click OK.
Click OK. Okay. Next.
And then merge statistics dialog box will be seen.
And
then you save that.
Close
statistics dialog
box. Next.
Save the object repository merge tool.
Save the file.
Save the file.
Merged file. Save the file. Next.
Close the object repository merge tool. Merge tool.
Just a minute. Close object repository merge tool. Just a minute. Why it is not copying? Just a minute. Close object repository merge tool. Next, close object repository manager. Okay. Next, associate shared object repositories. Association action level. Here first one, why we need to associate shared repository. Why we need to associate shared repository files, one or more, with actions. Tell me, Aarti, in order to create and execute tests manually. See, in order to create and execute tests manually, we associate. This we will discuss in next chapter. How to associate I will show. How to use that one we will discuss in creating test chapter. We will associate shared repository files. And one more thing, UFT supports many to many mapping, many to many association. UFT supports many to many association. Suppose I have two actions, action 1, action 2. I have two actions in my test. 3 object repositories required for these two. For first action, repository 1 and repository 2 required. Suppose for second action, repository 2 and repository 3 required. Yes, you can associate. UFT supports many to many association, many to many, not one to one. Got the point, Kanti? Many to many. Say I'm taking the new test. Pardon?
I got the point, but I am little confused. Like merge repositories is not at the action level, correct?
See, don't confuse. First of all, no relation with action, na.
Yeah.
Repository files are external files. We are merging external files. Here, no concept of actions, na.
Okay.
Here, no relation with actions. See, external. This is external operation. Suppose we have 40 shared object repositories. We want to make them as 10 shared repositories, large size repositories, in order to maintain them easily. That time you can merge them externally, but here no relation with actions, isn't it?
Yes.
But association is relation with action. Why? We associate shared repository with actions, not test level, action level only. In case of local repository also, UFT creates a local repository for every action, not for every test, isn't it? Still confusion?
No, sir. Yes, sir. I'm clear.
Okay, cool. See. Sujata got the point, Sujata? Why we need to associate shared object repositories?
In order to create and execute tests manually, we associate the shared repositories.
Shared repository. Suppose in case of recording, we no need to associate any repositories. Why? During recording, UFT creates local repositories for every action. While execution, it uses local repository. But if you want to create tests manually, first you need to create shared repository, then associate in order to design and execute tests. Associate. Okay. Next, instead of association, you can load shared repositories at runtime. Load shared repositories. First, I need to show that navigation, how to associate. Observe that navigation, how to associate. Just a minute. Navigation. See, resources menu, associate repositories, one or more. Next, click add repository icon, browse path of the repository. Next, associate with action. Click OK. Next, how to confirm whether that object's information is loaded or not. Launch object repository. See, shared objects information loaded. These are shared objects. Observe, no enable editing option, no save option, no export local objects option, no export local objects. Export local objects disabled. No rename, no delete. Only you can access these objects. See, once again, create new test, launch object repository, blank. Next, associate, resources menu, associate repositories, click add repository symbol, browse path of the repository, associate with action. Suppose if you want to add one more repository, again click add repository icon. I will show later. Just a minute. Click OK. Next, confirm. Resources menu, object repository, see shared objects information loaded. See here, no export local objects, no rename delete options. Okay. See once again how to store, how to associate multiple repositories. See. Observe in our test two actions, action 1, action 2. I have 3 repositories on desktop. I want ABCD TSR and login TSR for first action. For second action, XYZ TSR. Example. See. Resources, associate repositories. Click add repository icon. First ABCD, associate with first action. Next, login TSR, associate with first action only. Just a minute. Associate with first action only. See ABCD TSR. Next, second one, login TSR, action 1. Next, browse XYZ TSR. This XYZ TSR for action 2. Suppose XYZTS are required for action 1 also. You click, you select action 1 also. Like this. See resources, object repository. See this is action 1. Next, this is action 2. Okay, na Madhuri? UFT supports many to many association na?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell me the navigation, Sujata. How to associate shared repositories?
To associate shared repositories, sir, first go to resources menu.
Resources menu.
Associate repositories.
Good. Associate repositories.
Click on add repositories plus sign. And then browse path of the repositories.
Just click plus sign. Just a minute. What is this sign? Add repository.
Yes.
Add repository. Next.
Browse path of the repository.
Yes. Browse path. Path of the
repository.
Repository. Next.
Select action and associate with the repository.
Select action and associate.
Yes.
Next, instead of associating shared repositories, we can load repositories at runtime. How to load? See. How to load. See here I am going to introduce one utility object, repositories collection. Yesterday we discussed one utility object, system util for launching applications. Next, repositories collection. It is for handling object repositories dynamically, not only adding other operations also there. See how to load shared object repositories. Syntax. Repositories collection, single word, no space. Repositories collection, this is utility object dot add. Add is method on that object. Within double quotes, path of the shared repository. Shared object or repository. Example. See. Repositories collection, not case sensitive. First of all, VB script is not a case sensitive language. Dot add. Next, within double quotes, path of the repository. Suppose I want this login. One repository at a time. See, just know the syntax. Tomorrow I will, in creating test chapter, I will show how to handle object repositories dynamically. Just remember this load shared object repositories is alternate to associate repositories. Both are having advantages. What is the advantage of associate shared repository, and what is the advantage of loading repository at runtime? That we will discuss in creating test chapter. Next, map objects in between OR and AUT. How to map? We have two possibilities. Using view options, we have two view options. Using view options in object repository, we can map objects. We can map objects in between OR and AUT. See, first view option, highlight in application. See, two options, purpose same, style different. You can cross check. Highlight in application works from OR to AUT. First we need to select object in object repository, then it will highlight corresponding object in application. Next, second option, locate in repository. Locate in repository. See, works from AUT to OR. See, first we have to show the object in application, then it will locate corresponding object in object repository. Observe. Just a minute. Launch flight reservation window. Create shared object repository for this flight reservation window and its child objects. Resources, object repository manager, object, add object, show the window, click OK. Suppose default object types, again click OK. Okay. Here observe tools, view, highlight in application, locate in repository. Observe, suppose I am selecting, observe Madhuri, selecting tickets object in object repository. Tickets object. View menu, highlight in application. What is happening?
It is highlighting the tickets box.
Tickets edit box. Suppose name. I selected name, view, highlight in application. See name edit box blinking.
Name is highlighted.
Highlighting. Next, yes. Reverse. Suppose view menu, highlight, locate in repository. Observe, I am selecting update order button. Update order button. Okay. Located na Sujata? Located in object, yes, repository na? Okay. See once again.
Yes, sir.
locate in repository. This time I am selecting fly from combo box. Fly from located. Cross check. View highlight in application. Yes. Okay. You know view options. One is highlight in application, another is locate in repository. Both are same in purpose but style different. One works from OR to AUT, another AUT to OR. Here observe, in this flight reservation window, we have 10 buttons, nearly 10 buttons. 6 buttons, top left to right 6 buttons. Next, flights button, update order button, delete order button, insert order button. How it's stored? Delete order, okay. Flight, okay. Insert order, okay. Update order, okay. For these 4 buttons, labels are there. It's stored with labels. But for first 6 objects, no labels. Only symbols. That's why how it's stored? Button, button 2, button 3, button 4, button 5, button 6. If it is a recording, tool can take care about those objects. If you want to generate tests manually, then how to know that object names? Here problem is there. Here rename really required. Here how to map this one? 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. That type of mapping may be there, may not be there. First, get the functionality. Observe the problem. Kanti, observe the problem here. 6 buttons not having names. It's stored button, button 2, button 3, 4, 5, 6. If you want to create tests, you must know the names of objects now. Suppose I want to click on open order button. Here, which one is open order button? Hello? Sujata?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, just try to understand the problem. Solution I will explain. Say, first get the functionality of buttons. Suppose first button, get the functionality manually. This is new order button. Second button, open order button. Fourth button, graph button. Fifth button, here no report. Okay. Sixth button, help button. Suppose second button, open order. Fourth button, graph. See, I got the functionality of those buttons manually. Observe view menu, highlight in, first locate in repository. See, I'm showing this second button. This second button is open order button. We check that functionality. Second button, open order button. Locate, observe Sujata.
Yes, sir.
Which one is located?
Button 4, sir.
Button 4. Here 2 to 2, 3 to 3, that type of mapping not available. Here really renaming required. See, cross check, highlight in application. Second only blinking. Next, I want first button. File, locate in view, locate in repository. Show the first button. Which one?
Button 5, sir.
Button 5. See, view, locate in repository. View, highlight in application. Cross check. First one blinking.
First button.
See, here renaming really required. First get the functionality manually. Suppose second button, open order button. See, go to view menu, locate in repository, show the second button, click OK, located, right click, rename, open order. Like this you can rename. Save. Second button, Click this one, open order functionality. You check this one, highlight in application, yes. Next, locate in repository, show the second button. Okay. Okay, now understand that purpose of mapping objects. By mapping objects, you can rename properly, na?
Yes, sir. Sir, one question is, can we use object spy also?
Object spy helpless. In this scenario, object spy is helpless. Just a minute. Just a minute. In this scenario, good question. In this scenario, object spy is helpless. Just a minute. Resources, object repository manager. Object, add object, show the object. See. View options only possible. See, I want this fourth button. First button. Tools, object spy. Take hand icon, show the button, first button. What it is showing? Button name.
Oh.
What is the button name? Just button. Just a minute. Insert order button. What is showing button name?
Insert order.
Label is there, it can show. Suppose second button, button only. Next, third button, button only. Fourth button, button only. See, in this scenario, object spy is helpless, na?
Yes, sir.
See, view options. Using view options only, you can map the objects and you can rename properly. Okay. See, next. Just a minute. Put mute. Export test objects to XML. Already we discussed. TSR, shared object repository file format is TSR. It is local file format. Why I am saying local? It can be understood by UFT tool only. If you want to open TSR file in Notepad, not possible. It can't be understood by Notepad. Suppose if it is XML, extensible markup language, it is global file format. You can use any XML editor or Notepad also to edit XML file. See, it is just a bonus feature in real time, no use. Okay, feature is there, I will explain. What is the purpose of this feature? See, using XML format, we can edit test objects without UFT tool. This is the only advantage. Generally, for editing shared object repositories, UFT tool mandatory. But for XML format, UFT tool not required. Just a minute. I will show the example. See, create object repository, object, add objects, save, suppose repository 1. Next, file, export to XML, suppose abcd.xml. See, 28 objects, statistics. Close object repository manager, close UFT tool. Next, edit this file. If you want to edit, Suppose I want to rename this flight reservation window name to Hyderabad. Next, launch UFT tool. Create new test. Resources object repository manager. Next, file, import from XML, show the XML, browse path of the XML. Okay. Now observe Kanti, what is the flight reservation window name? Okay. Object name changed. See, like this you can edit. Next, last one, already we discussed. Define new test object feature. It is not recommendable. What is the purpose of this feature? Tell me, Sujata. It is not recommendable. Why?
Yes, sir.
Even though application is ready, nowadays most of the companies struggling in this test automation area, but using this feature we can design tests without application also. See, designing tests without application, some complex process, so it is not recommendable, but in rare situations you can use them, you can use it. Tell me, what is the purpose of this feature?
Using this new test object feature, the test design process can be performed even before when the application is ready.
See, using this, define new test objects. Define new test objects feature. We can design or we can create test scripts. Creating only, not execution. For execution, application mandatory. We can create test scripts even though footnote application is not ready. Application is not ready, but it is not recommendable. How to define? How to define new test objects? See, by getting objects information from developers, either theoretical information or prototype screens. Say I will show. Suppose our application is last 2 minutes. Our application is ICICI Bank web application. Application is not ready. Our testing team is ideally waiting. See, without wasting the time, we are going to start the test design process. We got the objects information from developers. Based on that information, you can define new test objects. See, resources menu, object repository manager, object, define new test object. See, as per developer's information, our environment is web. First browser name is ICICI Bank. Add. Next, under this browser, some pages. Suppose personal banking. Next, corporate banking. See, like this. Next, under this personal banking, one link object as per developer's information. Login. Next, one more link. Register. See, like this. Next, save. Suppose ICICI. Next, take new test. If you know the requirements, test requirements, you can start test design process. How? First, if it is recording, not possible. Without application, we can't record tests. If it is shared object method, without application also you can start test design process. Say, resources, associate repositories, browse path of the repository ICICI TSR. Just a minute. Associate with action. Next, if you know the navigation, type the script. Suppose browser off, see automatically populating. UFT provides context help. Next, page off. Off means open bracket. See, it is showing in our repository 2 pages available. Select required one. Suppose personal banking. Next, dot link off. See, 2 links available in this page. Select login link. Dot. I want to click on this link. Click. See, like this you can create tests. It is not recommendable. Okay. We will meet tomorrow, same time. Thank you.